Not so fast. While the world has been dazzled by China's meteoric rise, it's time to take a closer look at what's really happening beneath the surface. For decades, China's economy was the world's growth engine, powering global markets, lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty, and transforming rural landscapes into sprawling megacities almost overnight. The scale and speed of this transformation were unlike anything the world had ever seen. The so-called China miracle seemed unstoppable, an economic juggernaut that would keep rolling forward forever. But as history shows, no boom lasts forever, and cracks have started to appear. Now, headlines scream crisis, slowdown, and crash. The optimism of the past has given way to anxiety and uncertainty, both within China and around the globe. The very forces that fueled China's rise, massive debt, relentless overbuilding, and tight state control, are now dragging it down. Ghost cities and unfinished skyscrapers stand as monuments to a growth model that's running out of steam. The days of double-digit growth are gone, replaced by a fundamental shift. The government, once confident in its economic playbook, is now scrambling for answers, trying to manage a slowdown that threatens both stability and prosperity. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about shattered dreams for millions of families, rising unemployment, and a ripple effect that's shaking economies worldwide. The uncertainty is palpable, and the stakes are higher than ever. So what happened? How did the world's most impressive economic engine start sputtering and losing momentum? The answers are complex but crucial to understand. Building an economy on debt and questionable statistics is like stacking Jenga blocks on a washing machine. Impressive, even mesmerizing, until the inevitable collapse. The warning signs were there, but few wanted to see them. The party is over, and the mess left behind is massive. Cleaning it up will take time, effort, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. Understanding China's slowdown isn't just important for economists or investors, it's crucial for anyone who wants to understand the world we live in today. The ripple effects touch us all. Let's dive in and unravel the story behind the headlines. At the center of China's economic woes lies a crisis that has shaken the nation to its core: the real estate market. Once seen as the engine of China's rapid growth, this sector now stands at the heart of a looming financial storm. For decades, property ownership was more than just a dream. It was a national obsession. Buying an apartment was considered a guaranteed path to wealth and security, a way for families to secure their future and climb the social ladder. Developers borrowed massive sums, building entire cities from scratch. Towering skyscrapers and sprawling apartment complexes sprang up overnight, fueling a real estate boom that accounted for nearly a third of China's GDP. The entire system depended on one thing: ever-rising home prices and a constant flow of new debt. As long as prices kept climbing, everyone, from developers to homeowners, felt safe. Local governments too got rich by selling land to developers, using the proceeds to fund public projects. It seemed like a win-win, and few believed the boom could ever end. But in 2020, everything changed. The government, worried about runaway debt, imposed strict borrowing limits known as the 3 red lines. Suddenly, the easy money dried up, and the music stopped. Major developers like Evergrande defaulted on their debts, leaving behind a landscape of abandoned high-rises and half-finished projects. The dreams of millions of homebuyers were shattered overnight. Home prices began to fall for the first time in decades, destroying the myth that real estate was a sure bet. Empty offices and unsold apartments became a common sight. The crisis quickly spread beyond real estate, threatening banks, investors, and the entire financial system. The shockwaves rippled through the economy, sparking fears of a broader collapse. The so-called Great Wall of Debt is now crumbling, with each default setting off a chain reaction like falling dominoes. The collapse is shaking the very foundations of the Chinese economy, casting doubt on the country's future growth and stability. This isn't just a property problem, it's a national emergency, forcing leaders to scramble for solutions and calm public fears. The fallout is everywhere, from angry protests by home buyers to headlines warning of a crisis that could reshape China's destiny. This crisis isn't just about numbers, it's about people. Behind every statistic is a family, a dream, and a future that now hangs in the balance. The property crash has touched millions of lives in ways that can't be measured on a spreadsheet. Millions of Chinese families have lost their life savings, poured into apartments that may never be finished. For many, owning a home was the ultimate symbol of security and success, a promise that has now been cruelly broken. Trust in the system has evaporated. People who once believed in the stability of the market now question everything, from the banks to the government itself. Home buyers are stuck paying mortgages on homes that don't exist, sparking unprecedented mortgage boycotts. Many are trapped in a cycle of debt, with no way out and no one to turn to for help. Ghost cities now stand as monuments to broken promises. Once bustling with hope, these empty towers are a daily reminder of what's been lost. The psychological toll is immense, dreams shattered, futures uncertain. Anxiety and depression are on the rise as families struggle to cope with the loss of their homes and their sense of security. Fear has replaced confidence, freezing spending across the economy. Businesses are closing, jobs are disappearing, and the ripple effects are being felt in every corner of society. The government's unspoken deal, prosperity in exchange for political quiet, has been broken. People are beginning to question the very foundations of the social contract. Social unrest is rising with protests and online outrage despite censorship. The anger is palpable and it's spreading fast, both on the streets and across digital platforms. The property crash has destroyed not just wealth, but faith in the Chinese dream. For many, the future now feels uncertain and out of reach. A generation's trust is gone. Young people, once full of hope, now face a world where hard work no longer guarantees a better life. The consequences go far beyond economics. The very fabric of society is being tested as communities fracture and isolation grows. This is a crisis of confidence, and it's spreading. The uncertainty is contagious, affecting not just individuals but the entire nation's outlook. The damage is deep and lasting. Rebuilding trust and hope will take years, if not decades, and the scars of this crisis may never fully heal. They're unemployed. China's youth, once the hope of the future, now face record joblessness. The sectors meant to absorb graduates, tech, finance, real estate, are in crisis. The government stopped publishing the youth unemployment rate when it soared past 21%. Many believe the real number is far higher. Disillusioned young people are lying flat, opting out of the rat race, embracing apathy. The dream of homeownership and family is out of reach. This isn't laziness, it's a rational response to a broken system. High youth unemployment kills consumer confidence, creating a vicious cycle. A generation's talent is being wasted, and social instability is brewing. The future of China is stuck in its parents' basement, and it's not happy. The risks are real, and the clock is ticking. The youth crisis is a time bomb. China's demographic dividend is gone. The one-child policy created a massive workforce, but now the population is shrinking. The country is aging before it gets rich. Fewer workers, more retirees, an unsustainable burden on pensions and healthcare. The government scrapped the one-child policy, offering incentives for more babies, but it's not working. Young people facing high costs and job insecurity aren't starting families. The birth rate keeps falling. The demographic crisis means less production, less consumption, and higher social costs. Japan faced a similar problem, but China is still a middle-income country. The demographic dividend has become a demographic tax. This slow-moving crisis will drag on China's economy for decades. The workforce is shrinking and there's no easy fix. The future is graying fast. Made in China once meant global dominance. Western companies flocked to China for cheap labor and efficient supply chains. But trade wars and rising political tensions have changed everything. The US and its allies are moving factories elsewhere: Vietnam, Mexico, India. Foreign investment is drying up, more money is leaving China than entering. Xi Jinping's focus on control and security has made China less attractive for business. The old export-led growth model is broken. The government wants to pivot to domestic consumption, but consumers are broke and scared. You can't build a consumer economy when people have lost confidence. China is trapped. The old model is dead, and the new one can't get started. The golden era of Made in China is fading. The world is moving on. China's slowdown isn't just their problem, it's everyone's. As the world's biggest customer and supplier, China's troubles send shockwaves globally. Commodity exporters like Australia and Brazil are hurting as China buys less. Germany's factories are feeling the pain. Weak demand at home means Chinese companies may flood global markets with cheap goods, hurting foreign competitors. Trade tensions and protectionism are rising. China's debt crisis could trigger financial contagion, just like the 2008 US mortgage meltdown. The global economy is deeply connected. When China sneezes, the world catches a cold. We're already feeling the chills. No one is immune. China's economic model, state control with rapid growth, once seemed unbeatable. But under Xi Jinping, political loyalty and control now trump economic pragmatism. Crackdowns on tech and private enterprise have wiped out trillions in value and scared off entrepreneurs. The government props up failing companies instead of letting the market heal. This creates a zombie economy, stagnant, fearful, and brittle. Centralized power means policy mistakes are amplified. The zero-COVID debacle and property crackdown are just two examples. The very control that once fueled growth now stifles it. China's system is stuck, unable to adapt. The contradiction between control and growth is now a crisis. The cost of control is stagnation. So, can China bounce back, or is the miracle over? The optimistic view: Beijing manages the crisis, pivots to tech and domestic consumption, and returns to stable growth. The pessimistic view: China stagnates like Japan, trapped by debt, demographics, and lost confidence. The nightmare: a hard landing, property collapse, banking crisis, mass unemployment, and global recession. Right now, stagnation seems most likely. The government avoids short-term pain but blocks real reform. Debt, demographics, and distrust aren't going away. China remains a powerhouse, but its old playbook is useless. The era of the Chinese economic miracle is over. What comes next is slower, harder, and far more uncertain. The world is watching and bracing for impact. The dragon isn't dead, but it's definitely wounded. The story is far from over.